Did you know 6 to 12% or 5 million women in America suffer from infertility because of PCOS, according to Centers for Disease Control and Prevention? Today I'm going to be talking to you about polycystic ovarian syndrome, or more commonly known as PCOS. I'm really excited to talk to you about this because a lot of women suffer from it, and I personally am diagnosed with it. It's really important for you guys to know this because not only do a lot of women suffer from it, you could potentially be diagnosed with it, or a man could marry a woman who's suffering from infertility issues. Moving forward, I'm going to talk to you about what exactly PCOS is, the causes and effects, and treatment for it. First, let me explain exactly what PCOS is. PCOS is a health problem with a lot of causes. According to Women's Health from the United States Department of Health, it's an imbalance in reproductive hormones. This normally causes problems in women's ovaries, which means that the healthy goal of a menstrual cycle releasing one egg per cycle isn't normally common. An example of this could be an undeveloped egg or an egg not releasing during the ovulation period. Women's Health also goes on to explain that diseases could be linked to PCOS, for example, diabetes, depression, anxiety, and even high blood pressure. NIH, or National Institution of Child Health and Human Development, says that the causes are unknown for PCOS, but experts have found a lot of factors that they believe contribute to it. For example, it's inherited through genetics, but is also a result of having higher androgens, which are male hormones, in the female body. Higher androgens cause an interference between the balances between estrogens, which are female hormones, and androgens, which are male hormones. Another cause of this is insulin. Insulin is the thing in our body where it takes food and turns it into energy. But women with PCOS are typically insulin resistant, meaning there's an increase for appetite, potential weight gain, and blotches of dark skin patterns. Moving forward, I'm going to talk to you about the impacts of it. Not only is it a health condition, but there's many impacts on the women's body. There are a lot of physical impacts. From Sari Har, a journalist on the Endocrib web who studies science and health, she said that an imbalance in hormones typically affects the tissues in the woman's body. An example of this is an average woman has 10 to 17 menstrual cycles per year, whereas a woman with PCOS has 6 to 8. When the women with PCOS don't have a period, they are normally building up an extra lining in the uterus, and then once their cycle comes, it shreds and shreds and shreds, making it very heavy and very painful for the woman in the cycle period. This also increases your risk of infertility. We can talk about treatments for that later. Sari Har says other physical impacts of this could be cysts, or the 3 cancers: breast cancer, endometrial cancer, and ovarian cancer, and excessive growth and loss of hair, and adult acne. A personal experience of this was when I started getting cystic acne on my shoulders and my face, and if you remember anything from my last speech, I was an avid athlete who was conditioning 7 days a week, but I gained 100 pounds in 1 year, and when I went to the doctor, they said I had PCOS. There are also many mental impacts. In a study done by Columbia School of Nursing with Nancy Reed, PCOS is also linked to a lot of psychiatric problems, brain problems. Women who feel unfeminine typically have a lot of psychiatric problems. This study shows that they were treating physical effects but not mental effects, and realized that was ineffective because they were only treating one of the two. Women who experienced excessive body hair and infertility struggled with anxiety, and women who dealt with weight gain and obesity struggled with hostility. In the study, they had women with PCOS and women without, and the women with PCOS had significant higher levels of psychiatric distress. Next, there are a lot of physical and mental impacts, but there are many treatments. Because PCOS is really hard to define, it is also really hard to treat. Actually, there's no cure at all. National Health Services in the United Kingdom says that the best treatment for PCOS is a lifestyle change. Because PCOS, like I said, you gain a lot of weight. To combat that, you lose a lot of weight. But, as I said earlier, we are insulin resistant, which makes it really hard to lose weight. It's kind of a catch-22. NHS says the goal BMI, or body mass index, should be between 18.5 and 24.9. This can be accomplished through eating and exercise, eating healthy and exercise. Personally, I do the ketogenic diet where you intake your fat and proteins and you decrease your carb and sugar intake, and your body is fat adapted to where it'll, instead of using food for energy, it'll use your body fat for energy. Another way to combat PCOS is with medicine. NHS says contraceptive medicine such as birth control reduces the risk for endometrial cancer. Fertility issues, you can take IVF treatments. Orlistat is a weight loss, and evidence can be shown between 4 and 8 weeks. Weight loss combats physical and mental impacts. In conclusion, PCOS is the imbalance of hormones with physical and mental impacts, but also treatable. PCOS, while not life or death, is a burdensome disease and should be taken really seriously.